Hey guys, I'm Alenka.
And I'm Will.
And we are the Haven't Seen It podcast.
We're a movie podcast talking about movies.
Mostly movies that I haven't seen before.
Movies like
Godfather,
Forrest Gump.
The Titanic.
It's just Titanic.
What?
It's just Titanic. It's not the Titanic.
Okay, well, you guys, I haven't seen The Titanic.
Catch up on all our episodes anywhere you find your podcasts or our website, haven'tseenitpodcast.com.
Bye!
What's that movie? Sit ahead. Don't ask her late, 'cause she'll say, I haven't seen it.
Welcome, residents, to the Dr. DC podcast. My name is producer Richard, and across from me is the Doctor himself.
Hello.
Each week, we talk about the weird and wonderful world of DC while fielding questions from listeners like you. We have a review.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah!
Oh, was that Entourage?
Yeah. Yeah, we have a 5-star review, of course. This is number 83.
Yeah, baby. This one counted for double. Because,
That's right, because it's from r/DC Comics.
That's right.
That's a subreddit. That means it counts as 2. From Big Daddy Reaper. Subject, great 5-star podcast about DC, Dr. DC podcast. He goes on to say, these guys are funny and informative about all things DC news, new releases, weekly, and huge back catalog. Wow.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I think that people find sexy about me is my huge back catalog.
You could do it. Put your back catalog into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
my neck, my back catalog,
my front catalog,
my pussy catalog, and my crack catalog.
Yeah, okay, sure. We've got a piece of news. God, if this evening wasn't emotionally draining enough.
Okay.
The one piece of news. Daredevil actor Peter Shinkoda claims Jeff Loeb made anti-Asian comments during production of the Netflix series.
Yeah, so...
Fuck.
So the actor that played Nobu... had this sort of video where he basically was saying that he was told that they had a plan for this big arc for Nobu, like a big sort of character arc in Daredevil that got scrapped because Jeff Loeb said
no one cares about
Asians. He may have even invoked the Blade movies and said, like, listen, those movies were just a bunch of killing Asian people. People don't give a shit about like Chinese people or whatever.
Jesus Christ.
And then that opened the floodgates for a lot of stories about Jeff Loeb, not all of which involve racism, but they all involve him being a big asshole. Yeah.
Like, what other stuff came out?
Oh God. Some stuff is just about this sort of petty aggressive behavior. Like, apparently Marvel used to do a thing where they would, I guess, press release stuff in small groups with outlets and stuff, and before they started, one time Jeff Loeb like called out the one organization who like for having a reporter that wrote like a bad review of a comic of Marvel's or something. Like, he was just like, and why did they write that? Like, he was just like being like petty and shitty. Other people have said he's like kind of abusive harasser. Other people have said he's full out racist.
Ugh.
Whether, you know, like it seems like he's a dick.
Fuck.
Yeah.
This
I know
me today.
I know.
Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry.
All of my favorite books are like fucked. Like, it's God. What can we not have one fucking good creator out there? Jesus Christ. Suspect every white male creator.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Trust no one.
Trust no one, but especially cis white males.
Yeah, of course. Definitely.
Yeah, because fucking men can't be trusted to do anything without being fucking assholes. So,
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything
no,
to counter
it's
that
just
with.
Fuck. Like, God damn, what a fucking bummer.
Yeah,
was today.
definitely.
All right.
I'm sorry.
I know. Let's fucking teleport out of this conversation.
Hey,
I wish I could fucking teleport out of that.
look at that.
Yeah, that's right. Because today we are talking about teleportation.
That's right. We're talking about devices and powers that basically allow you to go from one spot to another spot instantaneously.
That's Webster's dictionary describes teleportation.
Well,
as,
this is one of those things where kind of like when we talked about the medieval times, or like when we talked about immortality, where the word teleportation means something very specific that we're sort of.
And do you think nerds will specify whether something is or isn't?
Why
something?
do I seem defensive?
Yeah.
Like, we're going to be talking a little bit about it, but we're also going to be dancing around things that are similar to, but not specifically technically teleportation.
This is teleportation, the thing that like my wife and I will occasionally do that thing where it's like, wait, what, like if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Yeah.
Teleportation is often the one that we go for.
Yeah, absolutely.
It seems like for like a regular life, not like necessarily a superhero life, but for a regular life seems like the most beneficial of all.
Even
powers.
for a superhero life. Like,
but it just means you're getting out of the situation typically. Like you have to have other things.
Oh no, I picture it, like in the first season of Star Trek Discovery, where they're fighting the Klingons and they do like the 130 mycelial jumps all around the ship, and they can't like that's how I would use it. Like if I was like in a fight, be like, then like all of a sudden you're just getting punched from 13 directions, and then you're out again before you can get hit. Like that's what I would be doing.
Yeah. I guess that's true. Yeah, but I think that
also for transportation or getting into like a bank vault or
whatever.
Clearly not a superhero.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely instantly become a super. It's also the one that I would the quickest become a villain.
Yeah. That and invisibility, I think, are quick routes to villainy.
Yeah, like how do you not rob a bank if nobody can see you? You know what I mean? Like
they could just see the $sign banks float out the door.
I guess that is the one problem with stealing from being invisible.
Unless you are able to do
you bring everything with you that's invisible,
or it's like an Invisible Girl thing where you're actually projecting a force field, so you've got like an Aryan effect sort of invisibility.
It's not like the one from like Mystery Men where you have to like nobody can look and you have to be naked.
No one can be looking at me. Yeah. I'm only invisible when no one's looking.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic power.
It sounds so fucking good. Oh, God, I love that so much. The one time that works is if you're trying to get past cameras.
Yes.
That's the one time nobody looks at you and being invisible is beneficial.
Yes, that's true too.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
We got a lot of questions. People were interested in teleportation.
Yeah. We got lots. And this was a theme voted on by our Golden Age subscribers. They get to pick an episode every month. So
that's what we call all of our senior residents.
Yeah, they're in their Golden Age.
Yeah, they're our Golden Age subscribers.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Facebook.
Going to the face and the book. Going to the Facebook.
The first question comes from We've Only Just done, who asks, I love Wink and the Airy. They are a much needed breath of fresh air. Who besides them have successfully stolen something like the Batmobile using teleportation?
Right. So Wink and the Airy are two of the new characters that were created for this current run of Suicide Squad. You probably remember from a while ago, we talked about how like every day for like a couple of weeks, they were introducing like these new characters like Jug and Thylacine and Rosito and all these characters, Deadly Six and that. So Wink and the Airy are two of these members. They're part of a group called the Revolutionaries that basically deliberately get themselves caught to infiltrate the Suicide Squad to take it down from the inside. And in Suicide Squad 5 or 6, basically they go up against Batman in Gotham. So the Suicide Squad has taken the bombs out of their neck. They've gone rogue. And during the kerfuffle, Wink teleports, Wink and the Airy teleport into the Batmobile and steal it.
Yeah, that fucking rules.
Which leads to a very funny series of panels where it's just Batman and Deadshot like standing together. Deadshot's like, you usually disappear by now. And Batman just goes, my car got stolen.
That's hilarious.
Which is pretty funny. So relatively new characters. The Aerie doesn't have teleportation powers, but is in a romantic relationship with Wink, who does. So
okay.
Wink can teleport. The Aerie has wings and some sort of like animal, like kind of taps into the red, like some animal like empathy kind of abilities. Yeah. But Wink is an actual teleporter, which it's been a fun power in that series so far. But because Wink is such a new character, we don't have a ton of background on her yet. We don't know that much about her. Like, for example, we don't know where her powers come from. Science experiment gone wrong, metagene, alien tech. We don't actually know at this point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So has anybody else like stolen something like the Batmobile using teleportation?
The specifically using teleportation thing, not that I can think of, not offhand. With the Batmobile example, maybe the closest one I can think of is in Justice League Doom. Mirror Master basically hitches a ride in the rear view mirror and then comes out of the mirror dimension, but that's not teleportation. That's like a dimensional. He's hiding in the mirror dimension and then comes out inside the Batmobile.
There's a difference.
Which is technically a difference, although I'll probably I'll double back on that later in the episode, but there's something like that. Teleporters have definitely stolen things in comics, but it's not of the magnitude of something like a Batmobile or something like that. Not that I can think of offhand, at least. And not in the way where it's actually teleporting instead of like a portal or, like things like that. Yeah.
Totally. All right. Next question comes from the most interesting resident.
Andrew Delgado?
Of course. I got it. So unconfident in a thing that could only be one answer.
Yep, I got it.
Yep,
I did it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Mr. Delgado asks, boom tubes seem to be a weird mix of teleportation and god incarnation. When the new gods boom tube from the fourth world to Earth and then around to other Earths, do they run into their other avatars, or is it more like one avatar at a time?
Right. There's a couple of different things happening in this.
Yeah.
So the new gods, if we reference our map of the multiverse, the realms of the new gods, New Genesis and Apocalypse, are in the sphere of the gods, meaning they're multiversal. That doesn't, which means, maybe technically speaking, there is only one of them for the multiverse. There is one Darkseid, multiverse-wide, one Mr. Miracle. But there are a number of comics in various continuities that make the case that because they're from this sort of higher plane of existence, that if they manifest on an actual Earth, maybe it's just an aspect of them manifesting. Even if they look exactly the same, when they step through that boom tube portal, maybe it's just an aspect of them. They could be splintered. Maybe the best case for this is the fact that there seems to be a slightly different set of new gods that kind of exist right around Earth 51, which is the Earth of Jack Kirby creations.
Oh, yeah.
And they seem to be more original designs of Kirby new gods than the new gods. Now, they might share a consciousness with our regular multiversal new gods, and they're just an aspect that manifests on Earth 51, or maybe they're totally separate. I think the best way to reconcile it is that it's like you shine light through a prism and it splits up.
Okay.
There is only one light source.
Yeah.
But where it ends up can be a bunch of different
sources,
a bunch of different pieces of it. None of the pieces are the entire whole.
Yeah.
But that might be the best way to think of it. So what that means is that it's not strictly a teleportation device that way. It's also, in some ways, not a teleportation device at all, because a boom tube is a portal. Cyborg has a boom tube technology that he can use, because he, in the sort of post-Flashpoint continuity, his technology is apocalyptian. It's part of the New Gods tech. He has a mother box inside him.
Yeah.
So Cyborg can make a boom tube, and it's basically he rips a hole in space time and walks through to another location.
Wow.
So, what is teleportation? Do you have to just cross the distance with like? Technically, he's moving, he's walking, but what he's done is he's altered space so that the distance he's walking is short. That he takes 3 steps, and now he's 5,000 miles away, or light years away, as opposed to having to walk the whole thing. It's like, is warping space a form of teleportation because you are altering the distance and the amount of time it takes to cross those things, or is teleportation only that sort of strict? You are here, and without crossing any space in between, you show up here. So if we're going to be strict about the definition of teleportation, a boom tube 100% doesn't count. But if we're talking about the practicality of teleporting, that you can cross vast distances almost instantaneously, then a boom tube basically is a shorthand for it. This is the sort of thing that we're like, I'm going to be dancing around basically this whole episode, because there are very few, I think, true teleporters.
Yeah.
In DC.
Yeah, it's complicated.
Yeah.
All right. Whoa. Time to hit a gnarly wave. Next question comes from Trey Shove.
It's Trey Shove, yeah. He's not a petit bit shove. He's Trey Shove.
So shove. Dude. Trey Shove asks, what are the different ways that characters can teleport? Kind of like how in Marvel, some characters teleport, but some go through an extra dimension on the way from A to B. We knew that from the X-Men.
That's a Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
Doesn't he go through like hell?
Yeah.
Time
Or like
he
a
teleports?
portal seemed like hell.
So he's actually crossing through like an extra space. So to us on the outside, he disappears in one spot and reappears in another. But for him, he's moving through another dimension. So versions of that would include things like the mirror dimension. I mentioned Mirror Master already. So Mirror Master can disappear and reappear through any reflective surface. Where he is in between, like leaving and showing up again, is in a mirror dimension.
Yeah.
That he sort of has dominion and control over. The same thing is true for a lot of characters that wield shadow as a power. The Shadowlands is an actual realm.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It's part of Nightmare in the Sphere of the Gods, I think. So a character like Nightshade, like the land of the Nightshades. Nightshade would be part
tomatoes, eggplants.
Shadow Thief, Shade. There's a bunch of characters that manipulate darkness and shadow, and they move through a shadow dimension, a shadow realm. So that would be another one where you're sort of it's the appearance of teleporting, but really you're moving through another space.
Yeah.
Other ways to quote unquote teleport. We talked about just like a portal. So Raven can use portals.
So Raven.
Very Raven. I'd say it's reasonably Raven.
Yeah.
Raven could do that. Obviously, Cyborg. Anyone with a mother box with like boom tube technology, that's what they're doing. There are characters that can move for a bit. Doomsday had the ability to teleport by moving through the Phantom Zone. That's kind of like that Mirror Master example, because he was moving through another dimension.
Yeah.
But the Phantom Zone's been used that way. Other ways you can teleport. You could do the full like atomic disintegration and reconstitution. Basically the Star Trek truest to a scientific teleporter. So the JLA for a long time and in different incarnations had these things that were basically like transmatter tokens.
Oh.
And it basically atomizes you and reconstructs you elsewhere.
Like Star Trek, yeah.
Basically like a Star Trek transport, essentially is how that works. Transmatter devices also appear in like a lot of Morrison's work with like multiversal travel. So, but often it's depicted as a portal, but maybe the subtext is that it appears like a portal, but you're being disintegrated in one dimension and reconstituted in a different dimension, like a different parallel Earth.
Yeah.
Maybe. I think there's some ambiguity there. Yeah. those are most of the ways that you can quote unquote teleport, although very few of them are true teleportation. It's mostly just how you can move almost instantly between places.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next question. Comes from, for the first time in this episode, the most interesting resident.
Stephen Marion Almagro.
Muy bueno.
Oh, yeah, muchas gracias.
¿Qué pasó?
Cheesy gordita crunch.
Yes. Is this racist?
I think so.
Yeah. Steven asks, please do a character spotlight on Bolt. Origin, notable appearances, and where he is perhaps in the current continuity.
I've probably said it before on this show that I think that the worst superhero secret identity name in all of comics is Black Bolt from Marvel. Because his real name is Blackagar Boltagon.
Yes.
Which I think is the dumbest shit ever. I will say that a close second is DC's Bolt, whose name is Larry Bolatinsky, which is
that just sounds like he showed up like Ellis Island, and they were like, "Oh, that sounds too ethnic. Just change it to Bolt."
It's just also pretty stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
That's ridiculous. So who is Bolt?
So basically, he has teleportation powers, but it's based off like tech. He sort of steals and wears this suit that allows him to teleport. Pretty true teleporting. He's not moving through another dimension. It's not like the Dementia Meter or something like Shadow Thief. He's not moving through another dimension. He just literally teleports.
It's like that Jumper movie.
Kind of, yeah. Or Ambush Bug, another character that sort of can just teleport like that too. But it's a suit. It's a piece of tech. It also lets him shoot like energy blasts and stuff like that. I think in some versions he can fly. He had a kid who then went by Dreadbolt and was like a Teen Titans adversary and stuff like that. Current continuity, I think Bolt showed up maybe. Oh, was it? Maybe showed up in Batgirl or something like that.
Really?
But I think he had been. I mean, he was like a D-list villain. I think he's in Identity Crisis. Like you see him a little bit. He was part of the Secret Society for a bit. I think he maybe fought Blue Devil a little bit. Like lower tier character we're talking about. Like Bolt is not the upper echelon of villains by any stretch. So I'm pretty sure though that he does exist post Flashpoint. We have seen that character. I think it was in Batgirl. But he's maybe got like 2 appearances since Flashpoint or something like that. Like he's barely in there. Yeah. But that's Bolt. I think he pretty truly teleports. I'm pretty sure he doesn't move through another dimension or anything like that. And it's not portals. It's not like whatever that character is in the X-Men. It's not like Blink.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. Let's move away from Facebook and heading over to Twitter.
Twitter.
Yeah. First and only question on Twitter comes from Adam Talking Superman, who asks, what have been the adverse effects of the Zeta Beam?
Right, the Zeta Beam. So this is
Adam Strange.
That's right.
Yeah,
this is the technology that allows Adam Strange to move between Earth and Ran.
Yeah. Because he ran so far from Earth.
This is sort of, I guess, a different form of the teleportation thing too, which is basically just like hyperspeed through space. Like sort of sent like a signal as opposed to like moving through another dimension or just
appearing
or coming through a portal. It's like being converted to energy, moving super fast and then showing up somewhere else. Which in some ways I guess is sort of like the Star Trek transporter thing, but I don't know. Feels different for some reason. So the Zeta Beam is this incredible bit of technology that allows communication and transport between vast distances, interstellar distances, like across galaxies and stuff. But it does seem to be prone to weird issues. Like I think the original Adam Strange stories were that he could only exist on Ran for as long as the Zeta radiation stayed on him. So like Sardath would make this schedule of when like the beam was going to hit Earth and where.
Oh, wow.
Adam had to be in the right spot. The beam would hit him. He'd show up on Ran. He could adventure there as Adam Strange. And then when the radiation ran out, he was just back on Earth.
Oh, wow. Weird.
And then that changed a bit where it was like by design, he could take a Zeta beam, request one or catch one and go to Ran, and then request one, catch one, go back. So it changed from being like an effect of the radiation as you transport across space to being like, we deliberately did this time.
Yeah,
it's not an accident. We're not fucking with your biology. And then in the post-Flashpoint continuity, in Justice League United, for a bit, it was instead of Alana being from Ran, for a little bit, she was retconned to also be human.
Oh, weird.
So her and Adam were both on Earth, but then one of them transported, and then they couldn't exist on the same planet at the same time because the Zeta radiation was messing them up. Like they couldn't be in the same room. And then Adam like sublimated into the Zeta beam. Like he became like a Zeta consciousness. And he was trapped in the Zeta beam and couldn't materialize anywhere. And he was like from outside space and time coordinating, like the Justice League and pairing up these teams to like repair these like dimensional rifts and that. So the Zeta beam is one of those pieces of technology that like has a lot of promise, but seems to have a lot of kinks you got to work out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
In different versions.
Has there any like major adverse effects from using it though?
There's probably, I'm positive that there are issues where there's some sort of like the Fly scenario or something like that. But the big one that I can think of is Adam sort of sublimating into it, which was relatively recent, like in the last like 8 or 9 years of comics.
Oh, wow. That's not that far at all.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, let's leave Twitter and head on over to Instagram.
Now we're going to Instagram, take some questions and answer them.
First question from Instagram comes from C. Robin Bayer, who asks, C. Robin Bayer, run, Robin Bayer, run.
See Robin clothed.
Yeah. That's better. Yeah. That's good. Which hero or villain with teleportation powers can travel the furthest distance? It's a great question.
Right.
Because that brings up that whole question about what the fuck teleportation is. Because, I mean, going all the way to Ran is pretty far.
I guess the one bit of teleportation that the type of teleportation, quote unquote, we haven't talked about is the, like, what you might call, like, divine materialization.
Oh, okay.
Characters like the Phantom Stranger, the Spectre, they just appear. They're not stepping through a portal. They didn't disappear from somewhere else. They just kind of exist everywhere and then just materialize, right? Like, they're kind of beyond it all and then they just show up.
Wow.
Right? And a character like that, they can move freely between the different planes of existence, between the sphere of the gods and, and the orrery of worlds and parallel Earths and through time and all of these things. They could, like, Phantom Stranger could just go anywhere.
Wow. Yeah.
I guess maybe he can't go to the Monitor Sphere or like Mixus Pitlick, right? He's from the fifth dimension. Mm-hmm. Him and Batmite could just.
What about the presence then?
They can just show up anywhere. The presence can do whatever the fuck the presence wants, because the presence is basically the source, is basically the God, is basically the energy of creation.
Yeah.
Presence could do literally anything. But I would argue that we're not only talking distances, but we're talking like being able to move through those sort of strata, right? The Monitor technically doesn't teleport because the Monitor takes ships through the bleed and moves through portals and stuff like that. So if we're just talking actual instantaneous showing up somewhere, we're talking about divine characters like
Spectre,
Spectre, Phantom Stranger,
yeah.
maybe Zoriel or something like that. And I would argue they can go anywhere basically without limit. There's not a distance, there's not a place in space that could stop them, nor a layer of reality. So it's something like them, or like the fifth dimensional imps, like Mrs. Pitlick or Batmite, or the genie, the Thunderbolt, whatever the fuck his name is, Kriz, or he's got some sort of name like that. I would say it's them, and the answer is that there is no limit. The Phantom Stranger never goes like, "Oh, it's 701 feet away. I'm sorry." Like he just kind of like
the only rule. There are no rules.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Yeah. If we were talking more kind of earthbound characters, I think you can make a reasonable assumption that even if there's not a hard distance limit, there might just be like the limit of what like your tech can compute. Like, so you don't end up like in a fucking wall or something, which I think actually happens to Bolt. I think he ends up teleported into a wall, like that Star Trek, the Pegasus, right? The phase cloak thing. And that's a Nightcrawler thing too, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
Like I think
a lot of times you have to like see where you're gonna go, or
I think for some of those Earthbound characters that would be a concern. Like Wink, like that character in the Suicide Squad. I don't think Wink would just teleport from where they are in the States to just somewhere random on the other side of the Earth. What if you end up in a mountain or in the ocean? What
you have to have either. Sometimes it's either I have been there or seen it.
I
like sometimes it's like you have to like. I think like it's a thing they did in Jump or something like that. You have to like Google the thing that you're trying to get to, or
you have to be able to some form of like control and visualization or something like that. Yeah, like I think those are reasonable limits on it. That makes sense.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, next question comes from, hey, Robbie's just this guy.
I feel like Robbie's just been laying low for a while. We haven't heard from him in a while.
No. Robbie's just going to diners, drive-ins, and dives.
Robbie was just hiding like in a bush until the stars went from like 3 down to 1.
Yeah. Robbie's just playing some grocery games. Robbie's just that guy.
Right. Robbie's just playing guys. Oh, he's that guy.
Yeah.
Robbie's just that Guy Fieri.
Robbie's just this Guy Fieri.
Oh, he's taking the express A train to Flavortown.
That's right, baby.
Hit us with that donkey sauce, Robbie.
All over my fucking neck and chest. All right. Robbie's just this guy.
And that's the way I like to unload.
Oh no. Jesus Christ. What are some of the best / most terrible teleportation mishaps? So we talked a bit about this in the last episode. Is there a reason why there are so few teleporters in the DC universe?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm pretty sure the first Bolt, Larry Boltanaski, or whatever his stupid fucking name is, or Bolatinsky is what it is.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that Dreadbolt, as like some sort of like proof of loyalty, has to kill him and like teleports him like half into a wall or some horrifying shit like that, which is like really awful. So that's bad, obviously. The Adam Strange in the Zeta Beam is a pretty significant mishap, I would say. In the Future's End timeline, there's a sort of sub-story with this scientist who's kind of going crazy because he knows that the Justice League has a teleporter.
Yeah.
And he's upset that they don't give that technology just freely to humanity. And he's upset because he thinks if humanity had that, they could have avoided a bunch of deaths in this like previous war and stuff like that. Of course, the Justice League doesn't hand over dangerous technology like that because they know how it would be misused. But he does bring up an interesting philosophical point, which is like, why do you get to decide what we get to have? Right? And he tries to basically make and hijack a version of the Justice League teleporter, and something goes wrong with it. And he ends up polarized by its energy, and he becomes a version of a character called Dr. Polaris, who has like magnetism powers. That happens to him in the Future's End timeline. That's transporter related. God. I mean, I think there have been plenty of examples of like, if we're talking about the portal kind of like moving through space, of like a portal closing on someone, you lose a hand, or cuts you in half, or something horrible like that. But the three mishaps that come to mind are bolt in the wall, Adam Strange sublimating into the Zeta beam, and this Future's End Dr. Polaris, where he tries to make a transporter and something goes wrong with its energy and it alters him, changes him.
A lot of people pay good money to put a bolt in the wall. Show them my fucking Zeta beam. All right.
Unload that donkey sauce.
That's right. Jesus Christ. Next question. Speaking of donkey sauce, the next question comes from the real Josh Gill.
Gil.
Oh, donkey sauce Gill.
Sexy Gil.
Gil.boomtube.
Boom tube. Oh God.
Yeah.
Josh Hub.
Yeah. It's one of our best creations, I think.
Yeah. We should make that shirt.
I know. Oh, fuck, I really should. God, if I only had all the time in the world.
How, Josh, I want to know, would you wear a Josh Hub shirt?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. You meant of ladies. And fellas.
Yeah. Yeah. You can get Josh Hub Premium.
That's incredible. That's what he says after like he's done like betting a woman. He's like, you just got Josh Hub Premium.
If you just have regular Josh Hub, then it's usually things that are like 4 to 5 minutes long. But if you get Josh Hub Premium, then you get like, 30 minutes, 40 minutes,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Exclusive content.
Oh God, I want that exclusive content.
The juicy exclusives, as you might call them.
God. Oh, my step Josh.
Oh, gross.
Josh asks, is Swamp Thing's ability to travel through the green a form of teleportation, or is it closer to Ray's ability to travel along light rays?
Yeah, right. Yeah, Swamp Thing can manifest basically anywhere where there's vegetation. Any plant or plant material
is that really,
anywhere on Earth is enough for Swamp Thing to generate himself and show up physically.
Is that really him? Is that the same version of him that disappeared in one place, though?
Well, this is we were talking about the philosophy of teleportation. I would actually say that Swamp Thing lines up pretty close to the philosophy of teleportation, though maybe not technically doing the same thing. He's not being atomized and reconstituted.
But it's not the same, like, it's not the same greens that are showing up, like, instantaneously somewhere else.
Right. He's being composed of different material into the same form.
Yeah.
I think the thing with Swamp Thing is that Swamp Thing is never actually not there. He forms a body anywhere where there is vegetation, but because he's connected to the green, he's technically everywhere where there's vegetation. Yeah. Which is why Swamp Thing could be sitting in a chair having a conversation with Constantine, and if you set the fucking Amazon on fire, he knows because he's also there.
Yeah.
He can also form multiple bodies, right? Like we've seen
fucking Dr. Manhattan. Jesus.
Well, except that Dr. Manhattan is more like traditional teleportation.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But Swamp Thing's body is itself such like an artificial thing because his consciousness is in the collective plant life of the Earth. Every body he makes is sort of just a shell anyway. So no, it's not teleportation because he's just making housings for the thing that's already there. Yeah. So no, I would say it's not a form of teleportation, but in many ways it mimics some of the like effects of the things that you talk about when you do talk about like that true scientific teleportation, which is like destroying one body and making a new one and then inhabiting it, right? Like it's an interesting mirror, though technically not that, but because it's not even like he's somewhere, and then he moves through all these connected root systems to get
Yeah,
to somewhere
yeah.
else. He's just everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And how does that? So is maybe talk a bit about Ray.
Right. So it's different from the ray, because the ray actually moves in light beams, and light, though seemingly instantaneous, has an actual speed.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's
Light speed. Yeah.
whatever it is, like 300,000 miles a second, or
Yeah.
something like that. Whatever c is in E equals mc squared.
Yes.
There's an actual definite speed to light, which means that if you slowed things down enough, or he's basically just like hopping on a bus. His bus happens to move at the speed of light, but he's still getting on this one like means of conveyance, riding it to a certain point at the speed that it goes, and then hopping off again.
Yeah.
So it's not teleportation. It might appear that way, especially if he's moving like just on Earth, because the speed of light is near instantaneous. But if he was going to be riding that through space, it would still take him whatever it is, 8 minutes to get from the sun to the Earth, or stuff like that. So it's not teleportation. He's just riding a very fast vehicle, basically.
Yeah.
Same thing is true for a character like the Atom, who can ride atoms and molecules like across phone lines and stuff like that. He can ride electrons. Again, he's just hopping on a very fast horse. So it's not teleportation. He's still traditionally moving through space.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you know how for the listeners who don't know, my wife and I are trying to do surrogacy,
Right.
And one of the hard parts is that when you have to like donate eggs to be able to do surrogacy, sometimes it's really challenging to get the mother in the room at the same time so that you can put the eggs into the mother. So often the best way to do it is to call our next resident and put it in a block of ice.
Wow. What a journey. The Iceman Customs. For such a long time, I was like,
Is this a teleportation?
I was like, Braydon never writes in on Instagram. And I was like, I don't know how he's going to get to a donkey from here. That was a masterclass in the Iceman Customs.
Oh
job.
yeah.
That was incredible.
Just teach this in universities.
Wow. Dad, what's your proudest moment?
Oh, it's going to take a long explanation, but
Yeah.
there was a TV show
But
called
if you
Pimp
don't-
My Ride.
But if my explanation's not good enough for you, we can put it in a block of ice.
Makes it always better.
What does the Iceman Customs ask? He's so sincere, too.
It's all about how you sell it.
Oh, my God.
Explain El Dorado's teleportation powers. How does it work? Why does he arrive exactly on time as the others who flew or ran to the intended location?
El Dorado was a character from the old Super Friends cartoon, like with
Oh, really?
with the Wonder Twins and stuff like that. So he's I think his name is like Ed Dorado.
Oh my god. Jeez. He's the most interesting super friend.
Which is kind of funny in its own way. But he basically started on that show. I think he's meant to be Mexican. Yeah, because or maybe just Central American. I'm gonna get sort of areas confused. I think he's supposed to have Aztec like ancestors.
Oh, okay.
So maybe that's not Mexico. It's like Central America, though.
Sure.
But at any rate, he has teleportation powers. He has some like telepathic powers too. He could do like illusion casting and that sort of thing. And I think he had some like super strength and stuff like that. I I hesitate to try to say why or what the extent of his powers were, because that cartoon was not necessarily concerned with like being specific.
Yeah.
It was like, what do we need the story? Like, I think what he would do though is he'd like wrap his cape around himself and then he'd disappear and then he'd show up somewhere else. It always had this sort of visual thing of his cape kind of going
Yeah.
around.
I like the idea that he's just like, well, I got some time. I'm going to go like get some errands done. Gonna like go get a bite to eat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He has shown up in actual comics. He's part of comic continuity now. Like El Dorado
Oh, nice.
actually exists, but
So was this a character created for that show, though?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was like him and Samurai and Apache Chief, like all of those kind of characters.
Oh, God.
But he does technically exist now.
So did they change Apache Chief? Now the name is just superhero character.
Oh, fuck, that's funny. I don't know that his powers have ever really fully been defined. I think it's a totally reasonable thing to say that maybe it's some sort of like magical ability. Let's call it Aztec magic, or he's got like powerful piece of like ancient technology or something like that. But basically his teleportation ability is pretty ill-defined. I don't know that there's like a limit to how far he can go or anything like that.
Yeah.
He does show up in Doomsday Clock, or he's mentioned in Doomsday Clock as part of like Mexico's superhero team, which is called
wow.
Justicia or something like that.
Oh, nice. You sound like you said that with like a French accent.
Justicia.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not good at accents.
No, I think you should try to find this one.
All right.
Yeah, I think the more you emphasize what you think it should be, the better it'll be.
How about this? So anyway, that's the. You didn't edit that out, did you?
What? I don't know. What?
Okay. I'm not sure that I can actually provide a satisfying answer to this question because I don't know that anyone has ever put in the time.
No, I don't think it's been worth it.
There
at
are
this point.
versions of El Dorado that have shown up though in Young Justice.
Nice.
And they're like I said, he is in comics now. He's in the Prime Earth continuity from post Flashpoint. I think he did show up before Flashpoint as well in that previous continuity. Obviously the Super Friends, you can check it out. That sort of Hanna-Barbera origin for him, but it doesn't say like, blessed with the ability to travel 50 feet or like this. No specifics.
Yes, exactly. It's just he can disappear and reappear.
Yeah.
Fair. All right. Let's leave Instagram and head on over to Reddit.
Where everyone's nice and no one's ever mean.
At least to us. And on Reddit, the one question we have is from Dante's Fire.
Whoa.
Yes. Spicy.
Yeah.
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 Yep. Getting real racist with Spanish stuff today.
Yeah, we gotta move on.
Yeah.
We gotta find something else.
Dante's Fire.
Wait a minute. Oh God, I'm such a fucking idiot. I was like, Dante is Spanish. What's the Spanish word for fire? And then I was like, is it Inferno? And then I was like, Dante's Inferno. Dante's Fire.
Yeah. Let's stay away from anything racist.
Yeah.
Dante's Fire.
Oh no. Everybody was Dante's Fire. Jesus Christ. That's so much worse somehow.
Dante's Fire asks, do any of the DC teleporters use the cloning and disintegration method? Or is it all the magically you're there method? Are we anybody doing the old what's the movie where they do that, the cloning thing?
What, The Fly?
Prestige?
Oh, The Prestige. Oh, yeah. Fuck, I love that movie.
Yeah.
Right. This is the big existential philosophical question about teleportation. This is the question that, if you want to get deep enough with it, comes down to really whether or not you believe that a soul is something independent of the material pieces that make up your body.
Yeah.
So if you take for granted that you could just be identically, atomically recreated, do you think you'd be the same?
Yeah. Is that still you?
So if you believe in materialism, then it means that every electrical impulse, everything that makes you, your spirit, your soul, whatever you want to call it, is an electrical impulse between electrons and atoms in your body. And if you theoretically could just rebuild every single atom and molecule and electron, put it in the exact same position, you should just be identical. You'll have all your memories, you'll have all of your thoughts, you'll have all your scars, you'll have everything, because it only comes down to material pieces.
I mean, I would say that that's not you. That's just another you. I think it's not same you.
Well, but for that instant, if you believe in materialism, you are the same. Now, you can go on to live different lives if both of those things are still. That's the Riker thing, right?
Yeah.
That happens on Star Trek because the beam splits.
That's right.
That's how you get Thomas Riker. But for an instant, you would have been exactly the same. Now, if you believe in a soul that is independent of material things like atoms and that, then this whole thing, you just throw it out the fucking window.
I still don't. I think even just outside of the soul, I think that just because you make a version that has the same memories doesn't mean it's the same you. It's not the same cells. It's just a duplication of those cells.
But if you're going down to
I think to other people it's the same you. It's the same you. But I think that it's not the same version because it's a duplication of the same cells.
But what is the difference between one hydrogen atom and another? If you're going like atomic, subatomic, and you're just replacing every single piece, then
but there's two cells can be exactly the same and they're not the same cell.
Well, but a cell is a much larger thing than like subatomic particles.
Well, okay, but you could take two subatomic particles, even though they look the same, doesn't mean that they are the same one thing. They're two separate things.
But what I'm saying is, you're right in that it's a separate construction.
Yes.
But if it's identical in every single possible way, down to every single possible level,
then it's just another you. It's not. You can't say it's the same you. It's another you.
But but if the first you got basically disintegrated,
it doesn't make it still. That's still not you again. That's just another you, and the you don't exist.
But what's the difference? You're the same one. You're the same identically. What does it matter if which piece?
Well, then it's just perspective. It's just either to everybody else, it's you. To you, it's not you.
I think to you it would be you too. But this is the philosophical argument. So, characters that actually do this, I think you can make the argument that any character that uses the Justice League's transmatter teleporter.
Yeah.
This is probably happening to them. They're being like atomically deconstructed and reconstructed, Star Trek style, from one spot to another. Although transmatter could also mean portal. But there are lots of Justice League stories with a transporter. I think you can reasonably say it works on Star Trek principles, which means you are being atomized and rebuilt, or not just atomized, converted to energy, and then that energy converted back to matter and reorganized on the other end. So anyone who does that, I think, counts as part of that. The big character, though, Dr. Manhattan. Dr. Manhattan is the epitome of materialism. He only exists because he has quantum powers. Dr. Manhattan has no spiritual energy or powers. And when he comes to the DC universe and he encounters magic, he says it's like looking at like the remainders of equations. Like he said, like all that magic is just like little bits of wild science, essentially.
Yeah.
So he has these sort of quantum powers. He's the epitome of that materialist argument. So he's been deconstructed, and like his origin, John Osterman, is made when his intrinsic field, when the thing holding his atoms and subatomic particles together is removed, and he just explodes. And then he rebuilds himself. But it never says that he takes the time to rebuild himself with the same atoms.
Yeah.
But he rebuilds himself. And then it happens to him again, because Ozymandias removes his intrinsic field, and he rebuilds himself even faster. Dr. Manhattan moves through space and time without moving through an alternate dimension. He is basically destroying himself and rebuilding himself every time he does that. And he does it instantaneously, the way that like a true scientific teleporting would be.
I think it's the same conversation that that comes up with Swamp Thing, right? Where it's not actually like Alec. It's plants who think that it's his consciousness inside of plants, and making those plants think that they're this thing. But no, at no point does everybody say, "Oh, it's that same guy."
I know what you're saying, but I think that the reason we're disagreeing is that fundamentally, on some level, I don't believe in a separate spirit.
I don't believe in souls. That's not what I'm saying at all.
Well, but I guess what I'm saying is that if you rebuild with identical pieces, you are the same you.
No, it's just another you. If you use the same pieces, then sure, but you're not. You're technically making another version.
Okay, but put it this way: let's say we disintegrate you on one end of a transporter. We take all of the same atoms and molecules, and put them in the other end. But let's say I swap one little carbon atom from your foot to your head. Are you a different you on the other end?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, if it was in the same space, then I would say, yeah.
Taking a carbon atom from there and a carbon atom from there and just flipping their position. You're saying that makes you different.
I mean, it makes a different version of you.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
I would say that it'd be like if you cut off your arm and put it over there.
It wouldn't, because I'm talking about replacing things that are functionally identical.
But it doesn't matter about the size of something. It's still part of you.
No.
Making something small doesn't make a difference. It doesn't. Your hair's not that different from your arm.
But I guess what I'm saying is that, like, at the atomic level, those things that we're talking, like, there's a difference between two different pieces of wood. But at the atomic level, there isn't a difference between one carbon atom and another. They don't,
unless you're the size of carbon atoms, then it.
But they don't. No, but they don't inherently have characteristics the way that we think of them for these other things. So that's why I don't think it makes a difference. You can take. You're basically just tabulating how many of which type of atom do we need, how many of which type of, like, how many electrons do we need, put them in the exact same positions. Doesn't matter where you got them from, as long as it's the same type of thing in the exact same position. I think you become out the exact same you.
Let's ask you, residents.
Yeah.
Let's solve human consciousness and what makes a person.
I love when we get these questions where it's like, who are the most qualified people to figure out this, like, crazy existential question?
Use hashtag what is God, Dr. DC.
Yeah, didn't I have to answer God is God one time on this show?
I think so.
Yeah, which is the exact opposite of this question where I'm like, there is no God, there's only material things.
There is only Zool.
But yeah, I mean, really, the character that most embodies it is Dr. Manhattan.
For sure.
Like, that is the atomic hero, right? That's why he's called Dr. Manhattan, because it's named after the Manhattan Project and the atomic bomb and stuff like that.
Well, exactly. So, yeah. All right. Well, that's the end of the questions for today. But you know what that means.
Love it.
Yeah, you don't get upset anymore like you used to.
What do you mean? I've always loved this game.
Yeah, you used to hate this game.
It's the only game we've
ever
played.
I know, but you used to not like it. Now I feel like you like it.
Well, it's because my new approach. Where it's just like,
okay.
Wrong and strong, baby.
Oh, wow. Okay. You take that approach to everything, I'm sure. All right.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. It's everyone's favorite game. Can you guess the name of the character based on how someone who doesn't read comic books can describe that character to us? So, if it's your first time listening, I basically send a photo of a character from DC's universe to my wife, and she sends us 4 clues, and we try to figure out. Well, I already know what they are, but the doctor tries to figure out who it is. So,
wrong and strong. I'm going to guess every round. Doesn't matter how off I am.
I love it. It's worked for you so far.
Yeah, I didn't get the last one, but I was on the right track. I kept thinking of Oberon. Mixes Pitlick looks a lot like Oberon, so I felt like pretty good that I was on the right track.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Question number 1.
Okay.
Clue number 1.
Okay.
Dapper sense of style and shops at Magician's Warehouse.
Well, let's just start with, like, something obvious. Is it Zatanna?
No.
Okay.
All right. Number 2.
Or Zatara?
No.
Okay.
Number 2. Based on their choice of gun, they're likely a pimp, rich, or just really like Red Dead Redemption.
Oh, like Papa Midnight?
No.
Okay.
No. Number 3.
Sure.
I can't see them.
Is it Shade?
No.
Is it the Shade?
No.
Okay. But they've got a... Oh, hang on. Gun, fancy gentleman, can't see them. Is it Gentleman Ghost?
That's right.
Yes!
Bing, 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 bing,
Boom,
bing.
boom, boom, boom. What was the last clue?
The last clue was accessorizes with a monocle they probably don't need.
Very nice. Very nice. Gentleman Jim Craddock. Nice.
That's right. Gentleman Ghost.
Awesome.
That was a fun one.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I like that a lot.
How quickly did you residents get it? We would love to know.
Yeah.
I love that everyone was screaming at the doctor last one.
Well, yeah. It's Mr.
But also, we would just love to hear from you residents, and maybe you can ask a question for next week's episode.
Well, next week's episode, by the time you're listening to this,
Oh, yeah. God, what are we doing?
We're already recording it. Next week's episode is about Wonder Woman.
That's right.
And we've got a special guest for that one.
Ooh.
The episode after that, though, we're going to be talking about supervillain team-ups.
Yeah.
So any sort of Secret Society, Injustice Gang, Fatal Five, any version of a super villain team up, a partnership, a full team, a league, whatever. We're talking about that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to that. So send us questions for that, or just talk to us online about whatever. Theoretical, scientific questions.
Hit us up with particle physics.
Yeah.
We're ready to weigh in all of your questions.
Any of your esoteric sort of concepts between existence and...
Listen, let's break the ice with something easy. What's real?
Why are we here? What's the meaning of life?
Who is God?
Yeah. You can do all of those questions through our various social media platforms, like our Facebook,
Dr. DC Podcast.
Twitter,
At Dr. DC.
we of course have an Instagram.
Dr. DC Podcast.
Don't forget to send us an email.
DrDCPodcast@gmail.com.
And of course, you can hang out and respond to posts and post your own on our subreddit.
r/Dr_DC.
And of course, the doc phone is always open.
208-917-3238.
That's 208-917-DCEU if you're nasty. And of course, go to our website.
DrDCPodcast.com or .ca.
Yeah, you can buy our merch.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch stuff. Wait, someone recently bought the Alfred Did It t-shirt.
Love it. Amazing.
Love that. Oh, mwah. So good. That's a spicy meatball.
Yeah,
I love that. Usually when I have a string of pearls on my chest, it's not because I'm wearing that t-shirt.
yeah, it's because you've been searching stuff on Josh.
Yeah. And of course, 5-star reviews. We want
I just
those.
thought he's hashtag Jaddy.
Oh yeah.
I'm so sorry, Josh.
I'm not. You asked for it.
Oh no.
Yeah, 5-star reviews. We love them on iTunes, but we'll take them basically anywhere. Just make sure we'll take it any way that you want to give it to us. All you have to do is either write or put in 5 stars. It's in some way or another, and say something about why you love the podcast.
That's right. And if it's not on Facebook or iTunes, please take a picture and send it to us because we can't always see them. We don't always get like notifications for every
for sure.
location.
Yeah, you can just send it to an email or through our Twitter or Facebook or whatever.
That's right.
Make sure that you give those 5 stars. If we get to 100, we're going to have a standalone mini-series podcast all about the Lord of the Rings called The Lord of the Rings.
That's right.
And maybe potentially quick near that. I don't know. Whatever. We're going to be doing a whole separate other podcast.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. We're going to be
about a subject you could never guess.
Yeah, because we've never mentioned it on the show. Yeah, that's right. We're doing a Supernatural rewatch podcast from season 1, episode 1 to season 15, episode probably 22. I haven't figured out how many episodes are left. We are very excited to do this, and I'm sure that you are too. So give us those reviews so we can get to that point so we can start putting out those episodes.
That's right.
And of course, Patreon. You love the content we do. You can't wait for us to put out Supernatural podcasts Well, you can have more content from us every single week. All you have to do is subscribe on our Patreon.
It's patreon.com/DrDC. We got 2 levels of $5 a month and a $7 a month. Regardless which one you pick, you get a full bonus episode every week. On Friday, it's the double dose. This week, we are talking at length about The Last of Us.
Probably the longest episode we've done in a very, very long time.
It's true. It's an emotional journey.
Tears were shed.
Bonds were formed.
That's right.
And then,
Maybe The Last of Us was really just about the friends we made along the way.
yeah, maybe our friendships was the real The Last of Us.
Yeah.
At the $7 level, you also get a video episode every week called The Prescribed Reading about something that I'm currently reading. You get to vote on episode themes. There's merch discount, all sorts of fun stuff. And it does help support us making cool new things for you guys.
Yeah. So that's it for this week.
Adios.
A ciao ciao.
Heroes, they always fight for what is right. Live with danger and adventure, they are men of might.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.